Welcome to the Legal Age Rwanda, the only legal podcast in the land of 1,000 hills. This podcast will be providing solutions, answers to the most asked questions. It will be answering the mistakes which have been committed, not only in land transactions, real estate, immigration, family law, divorce and the like, business registration, business consultation, business compliance, as well as several other factors of the law. If you've been going through above mistakes, we intend to help you in this way. As we have prepared for you, that is not enough. You'll be sending us questions, you'll be sending us comments, and we will be picking the next topics from your questions and from your comments, because you are the real people who will give us the work, and we are here to serve you. So don't make another costly mistake in regard to the above. So did you know that you can lose land in Rwanda even after paying? This is a story which is based on true facts. In my experience of 8 years, I've seen people lose their land, not because they are not the right people who acquired the land, but because at one time they ignored something which could have been prudent or which they ought to have taken time to concentrate on. Now, according to the laws in Rwanda, stipulated that the only person who owns the land is the person who has the land title, even though it does not take away the recent court decisions by Supreme Court and several other courts in Rwanda, which have also ruled and indicated that the ownership of land can also be challenged if one cannot prove the source, the origin of the land. What are we trying to say? In my 8 years of experience, I've seen that some people ignore the following. Before you buy land in Rwanda, there's what we call due diligence. I know some people would say, yeah, lawyers will charge me a lot of money. Valuers will charge me a lot of money. People like surveyors will charge me a lot of money. And some will even opt to look for the local people, the drunkard people on the site, which is not right. I would say, if you carry out due diligence from NRN, National Land Authority, with the guidance of a real estate lawyer, experienced lawyer in land transactions, such that you can ascertain whether that land is having a caveat or a mortgage, you may find that even the land you're going to buy is already having disputes. Even ascertaining the exact value of the land you're buying is important. Getting the right advice from the authorities like district land board, district authorities. I've seen and several times I've advised my clients that it is even important to seek the attention of the district engineer to help you understand the city master plan or the district master plan. This also helps you to understand whether what you're going to do in a certain land is allowed by the law, or your project will live to see help you get the ROI, the return on investment. Now, after identifying the issue of due diligence, if you find that everything is really okay, the measurements are the same, no dispute, no encumbrance, caveat, mortgage, no court dispute in court, what do? Now you have to go back, sit with the seller, request for the full identification of the seller. Is he the person right to sell? Because on certain instances, we have found that some people would sell when they are the ones registered on the land title, but then you find someone is married under community regime, but he or she did not disclose to the buyer. Now, what do? At that time, it is also prudent to check the status of the seller. Is this person married? If he or she is married, under which regime? If one is married under community regime, you will find that the lady or the wife has to give consent, or the husband has to give consent. Then, all transfer agreements must be signed at the land notary. This is important because I've seen some people in the past days Come, innocent. I signed an agreement, but we were ABCD. The guy was running. He never had time to go to the notary, ABCD. And at the end of the day, it is very costly to get that person once the mistake has been done. So it is really prudent that you tick every box, including drafting, reviewing the land transfer agreement. Also, make sure that you pay in the bank. Don't leave any stone unturned. Yes, I would appreciate you can pay by cash, you can pay by ABCD, but at any time you would need to prove that you paid for something of value. And what I can say is that under the law of contract of Rwanda 2011, it states that all transactions above 50,000 must be in writing. That literally means if you have bought a land of 100 million, 6 million, 1 million, it must be in writing. Therefore, even the proof of payment has to be where justified. I would appreciate if you guys would pay in the bank. One more to that, I've seen also challenges where people pay the money and then wait for the transfer to be made later or at a later time. This is one of the issues also that are affecting people, because once the transfer is not made immediately, sometimes we would understand some people are buying foreigners and there is a need to get investment certificate, or the land you're buying, let's say if it was for matters regarding accommodation, residential, and it is above 300 square meters, you would find that you need to get the investment certificate as well as conformity letter from the district or city of Kigali. Those topics will be discussed, the way of how to get investment certificate, the way of how to get the conformity letter. It will be discussed at a later time. But what I'm trying to say is that don't leave any room. Things change, people change. Let me repeat. Don't leave any room. Things change, people change, and the chances of recovering your money are always hard. So, if you can, after signing the land purchase agreement, continue with the transfer. I know many people are going to say, now innocent. One is going to say taxes, one is going to say transfer taxes, who pays this one? Sometimes the land is having taxes and pay taxes. But in the beginning, I said, at the time of buying, at the time of identifying the land to buy, you need to carry out the due diligence. In the due diligence, still we'll have a vast discussion on it, where one has to look on the unpaid taxes. Is it property tax? Is it a BCD? Something like that. So, having said that, please make sure that the transfer is done as soon as possible. Don't leave any room for anything to change, and you'll be left to suffer the consequences at the end of the day. So, gentlemen and ladies, companies, investors, entrepreneurs, don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to land transactions, because the land in Rwanda is a hot cake. Everybody wishes to own land. And in owning land, only the vigilant will be helped. As they say, equity helps the vigilant, not the indolent. Now, what happens if you're buying land and it is a family land? If you're buying land and already that land has a caveat, I would say, please, don't be taken by the sweet words of the seller, sweet words of the broker, the realtor, and the like. If you can, hire the service of experienced real estate lawyer to help you with those issues. Because if it is not done in a right way, you will find that you are having the hardest time of fighting a legal battle to follow up the recovery of your land, of which this may be not easy, it may be expensive, it may be time consuming, yet one would have resolved everything at one time. So, having said that, if you really have any question regarding land, if you have any question regarding land transfer, if you have any question regarding how to remove a caveat, please, we are here to serve you. That one does not mean that we will not talk about the land taxes, the land transfer tax. Who pays the land transfer tax? According to the land laws in Rwanda, stipulate that it is the seller who pays the land transfer tax. I know many of the contracts I've gone through for my clients, you find the seller have already put the article on the side of the buyer to be the one to pay the transfer fees, which is not really true according to the law. But also, this can be instigated by the agreement parties have. So I really wish one could check those key articles before proceeding. And I'm sure if you had a lawyer would look through all those documents and would advise you, say that you don't fall a victim of fraud if so happens. But like as I said, we are in a country where laws apply and each and everything has to be taken not for granted. Therefore, let's respect the law. Let's enjoy our country. Let's invest smartly. And let's abide by the laws of the country. As I later said, this podcast is meant to help you avoid the costly mistakes that will let you pay the money for another lawyer or for another challenge of which you would have done and is resolved. So, please, catch us next time. We'll be talking about more of real estate in regard to the questions you will be sending to us. I remain truly Innocent Muramira. Thank you.